It is Fired Up Friday, ladies and gentlemen. We have a jam-packed show for you today. Football is back. Arizona Wildcats football is back. We have Christian Shimabuku on the show, a Hawaii football beat reporter to break down all the matchup from the Hawaii side of things. We got Justin Spears on the other side of the show. One more sleep. Let's get right on into it. It's the AZ Wildcats podcast.
Welcome on in, everybody, to the AZ Wildcats podcast, live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. As Kevin mentioned, it is a fired up Friday because we are talking all things Arizona Wildcats, all things Arizona athletics, and of course, headlined by tomorrow's Arizona football opener versus the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. Of course, we're going to bring on our guy, Christian Shimabuku, here in a second, Hawaii beat reporter from the Aloha Daily, State Daily, I should say. Going to bring him on here in a second. But Kevin, how are we feeling on a Friday? And are we just itching? Are we itching for tomorrow's football matchup and just getting this thing rolling?
Indeed we are. I'm feeling good, feeling great on a Fired Up Friday. You know how we like to bring the energy on these Friday shows nowadays, Damon. And football is truly back. One more sleep until we have Arizona Wildcats football in our life. I don't have to wait any longer to watch T-Mac play because I got him on my fantasy team. I also got Tyler Loop. We can talk about that maybe on another show, on another occasion. Maybe tomorrow's pregame show we can talk about that. But
no, I think we're going to talk about it at the end of this show. But that's gonna be for the real sickos that stay till the long run. We're, of course, going to break down our PHNX fantasy football draft that we had yesterday. And I have a side-by-side comparison for mine and Kevin's matchup that you're going to want to mark your calendar for later on in the season. But Kevin, we do have to bring on our guy, Christian, here in a second. And we're going to break down, kind of the biggest storylines out of the Hawaii camp of things, like what's going on from the Rainbow Warriors perspective. Micah Alejado, like, is he going to be fully back and healthy? All the big storylines broken down here by Christian Shimabuku. Again, like I said, from the Aloha State Daily. So let's bring him on in here. And Christian, good to see you. How are we living, and how's your Friday, I guess, morning for you going?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Kevin and Damon, for having me. Let me just first say, when I got invited to do this show, I perused a little bit. You guys have a really great show. I really enjoyed you guys cover a bunch of topics. It's really cool. So excited to be on and excited to talk some football. Yeah, it is 11 a.m. here in Hawaii. Aloha Fridays, like to call it. So yeah, pretty excited.
I love it. Fired Up Friday, and we got Christian Shimabuku on the show. I feel like I'd be remiss to not start talking about this matchup with the Micah Alejado of it all. What is the latest on his lower body injury? And I know Coach Chang was expecting him to play on Saturday. Is that still the case?
Yeah, I'd say all indications are they're going to give it a go. Against Stanford, he had a great first half. First possession of the second half, he goes down via hip drop tackle, which is still legal in college football for some reason. But he lands pretty hard on his right ankle and has a pretty bad sprain there. So he goes through that game. It's funny, in the post-game press conference, he was just hopping on his left foot because he literally couldn't put any weight on his right foot. And so I think, that definitely piqued the curiosity of a lot of people here. And trying to see what he looks like throughout practice this week on Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday, he was dressed but wasn't really participating. He was on the stationary bike. But the next day, he kind of gave it a go. He went out there. His right foot was in a spat, putting some weight on it, throwing. And so it's been 2 days since that. They're going pretty hard on the rehab. And all indications are he will be out there, and they're going to try to see how long he can go. And I think everyone watching this game is going to be wondering how long he can go. And there's only one way that we can find out.
I know Michael Alejado is a little bit more kind of he can run, right? Like that's an aspect of his game that he has. We saw him tuck it and run for that 30-yard gain against Stanford. But somewhat similar to a Noah Fafita type, it seems like maybe that's more of just a tool he has in his toolbox rather than something that he's trying to do on a regular basis. How much do you think that this injury will impact Michael Alejado and just kind of what he can do physically on Saturday night?
Yeah, Damon, that is an interesting point. First of all, when Micah Alejado was a quarterback for Bishop Gorman, there was some Noah Fifita comparisons. But that's a pretty grand one, though, because Noah Fifita is a great quarterback. And, he really showed from the first year that, he's that guy for sure. But as far as Micah Alejado, running was a part of it, part of his game for sure. Especially at Hawaii, where at Bishop Gorman, he had probably the best offensive line in the nation. He was behind 5 elite college prospects. And then in Hawaii, that talent level, you're not going to have 5 of the best offensive linemen in the country in Hawaii. And so he does have to use his legs. And, as he showed, he can break off a long run here and there. And so, but with his ankle, though, he is going to be limited, his mobility. I think that part is going to be a factor for sure. And so it's all about how much they can protect Micah. He does get rid of the ball pretty quickly, though, and that's going to have to be something that's a part of it is some of the quick game stuff. And so we'll see. The mobility is going to be, limited, I would say. And that's going to lead to, I think, him being a little limited from the running side.
And if Micah can, in fact, not go, you guys have a junior college transfer in Luke Weaver, kind of as in that backup role for QB2 for Hawaii. What's the feeling around Luke Weaver? Is there a confidence level in him in and around the program that he can run this offense to a similar level to their QB1, or is there like a little bit more of a fear factor? Hey, if this guy gets in versus a power conference opponent, things could potentially get ugly.
Yeah, well, I think, Luke Weaver is a guy that, this UH staff feels confident in. He was a guy that was a Duke All-American last year, enrolls early in the spring and, gets his bearings, gets his reps. And I think the coaches do feel good about him. He's a lot different from Mike Alejado. He's right-handed, whereas Micah's a lefty. He's 6'2". Well, Mike Alejado is listed at 5'10", generously. That's probably with cleats on. It's a different quarterback experience for sure, but they do have a lot of confidence in Luke Weaver. The guy behind him, DeMarshus Davis, he was a 4-star recruit, signed with Washington, enrolled at UCLA, is a redshirt freshman, but he enrolled in the fall, so he hasn't really had those reps yet. But you can definitely see the talent base there at practice, but I just think Luke Weaver is a little further along than DeMarshus Davis. And so if Micah can't go, he's definitely going to be the guy that goes in there. And then again, we're just going to have to see how he does. As confident as these coaches are, you never truly know until they get those game reps, right? So we'll see.
And then also, we've talked about how Alejado is going to be trying to get the ball out quick on Saturday against Arizona. When you look at the receiver room for Hawaii, there's been a lot made of that core that could be the best in the Mountain West this upcoming season. What do you make of Hawaii's targets, and how do you think Arizona is going to have to deal with some of the talent coming their way from Hawaii's side?
Yeah, it's interesting. So in the preseason Mountain West, the All Mountain West team, 3 of the receivers, 2 of them were from Hawaii, and that's the first time they've had multiple guys on a preseason All Mountain West team. So those 2 guys are Pofele Ashlock and Nick Senecal. You'll see those guys line up in the slot. They're both pretty tall for their position as well. So I think those are the 2 main names to watch, Pofele Ashlock, Nick Senecal. They're both guys that that's kind of the mold that UH wants to recruit from, is pretty overlooked in the recruiting process. UH takes a chance on them and develops them. And they're both veteran guys now. Pofele Ashlock is a redshirt junior. Nick Senecal is from Canada. So he hasn't been playing gridiron football that long. He's been playing, before that, he played Canadian football, which is like a wider and longer field. but just off his pure athleticism, he's been able to show what he can do. And yeah, now he's in his 4th year, and so those are the two guys. But I think receiver is always going to be one of their top positions under Timmy Chang, because they're able as a staff to advertise, hey, look at how much shine you get if you're a receiver here. We throw the ball out, kind of thing. And so, yeah, I think it's always going to be one of their stronger positions.
Yeah, it seems like that Hawaii receiver room is kind of the calling card, I guess, of the offense, and really that super high talent level that Hawaii can kind of lean on in their games, and will all season long. But is there another position group potentially that sticks out that maybe is a little bit more under the radar potentially? Because I think that Kevin and I have heard a lot about these wide receivers in lead up to this game on Saturday. But is there a position group that you think is maybe kind of under the radar here for Hawaii going into this matchup?
Can I say a position on defense?
Absolutely.
Okay, sure. Yeah. I would say the Hawaii safeties, their 2 safeties, had a really good game. Keely Nahe, Mendiola Jensen, and Peter Manua. And I think what really makes them interesting and appealing to UH fans is, besides who they are as players, they're pretty good, but they just fit that like Hawaii mold of local players with hair sticking out of their helmets. It's a very like Hawaii aesthetic, and it kind of harkens back to the glory days. There were coaches in the past that didn't embrace that, like they made the players cut their hair, and I think Timmy Chang, as a former UH player himself, has embraced that part of the culture. And so I think it's pretty cool that, this team has 2 safeties. They both got the hair flowing out, and they play like their hair, like they just play wild and free.
Brent Brennan, Arizona's head coach, there's a loud minority of fans here in Arizona that they don't understand the lay. They don't understand like the importance of that culturally, right? And you mentioned earlier in regards to the offensive line for Hawaii that you're never going to have the 5 best O-linemen playing in the Mountain West and then nonetheless playing for one school in Hawaii. Arizona is at a different space, but like you're never going to have all the number 5, star recruits at Arizona. What is the importance, in your opinion, of embracing that culture at a school like Hawaii, where you really need to create like a welcoming environment for recruits that want to play for your program? Have you seen like the importance really bear out on the field?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the number one thing that they can lean on as a staff, especially recruiting Polynesian players. Hawaii is in the heart of Polynesia. It really is, close to a lot of these other places where they try to get recruits, like in American Samoa. Of course, their priority is always going to be recruiting in state. And so, there's so many spots in Hawaii where schools like Arizona do look for these guys. And so they're always going to have a competition there. But embracing the Polynesian culture is everything to these guys. And I think it is really cool that Brent Brennan embraces that as well. He is a guy that does have a really special Hawaii connection as well. And so I think that's one of the overarching themes of this game is there's so much respect and familiarity between these 2 teams. And so regardless of how it goes, I think it's going to be like a clean, respectful game. And then at the end, they'll be able to catch up and things like that.
Yeah. You kind of mentioned the aspect of schools like Arizona coming into Hawaii and kind of, using that as a recruiting pipeline of sorts. To bring in a lot of players on this roster are of Polynesian descent, and a lot of them are Hawaiian as well. You have, Gavin Hunter, Julian Savanea, of course. Jonah Savanea just went to the Miami Dolphins. You had Tedero McMillan go to the Carolina Panthers. Is there like somewhat of a local pride aspect for the players in Hawaii, the fans of the UH football team, for the Hawaiian descent players and Hawaiian ethnicity players that are out there playing for bigger programs as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think pure UH fans, there's always going to be like you want to see those guys suit up for UH. But I think just fans of football in the state in general, there's always going to be that pride of, someone from the Rock who, goes to a place like Arizona. And the further they go, I mean, the more they can showcase the state and what it's about. I think just in my lifetime, Manti Te'o was a big representative of Hawaii, Marcus Mariota. But yeah, like you said, Arizona has a lot of those guys that UH wanted. Gavin Hunter, his father played for UH. Even a guy like Noah Fifita. There's a lot of familiarity between that Timmy Chang had with Noah Fifita and his teammates in high school, Tetaroa McMillan, Mason Graham, because the UH's offensive coordinator right now, Anthony Arsenault, his brother Darnell was coaching at Servite, so he was one of the first guys to tell like Timmy Chang when he was at Nevada, like you should really take a look at this kid, Noah Fifita and Tetaroa McMillan, but those guys, I mean, chose to go to Arizona and really made a legacy for themselves there, right? And I think as much as UH would like to have them, it is pretty cool to see them, to see Noah Fifita still doing his thing at Arizona.
And then, getting back into this Arizona-Hawaii matchup coming up tomorrow, I know that, the Micah Alejado injury kind of put a damper on the win against Stanford. But overall, like, what is the general sentiment about Hawaii as a program after the Stanford win? What are the expectations for the rest of this season after Saturday?
Yeah, I think them just getting the win was a big thing because in years past, they have had that type of environment where they host a Power 4 team, take a lead at some point, and they just don't pull it out at the end. I think a pretty specific example was last year against UCLA. They were up 10-0 at halftime, and then UCLA kind of pulled it out at the end. So I think just getting that win was a big deal, and I think it really does give hope for the season. Micah Alejado won a lot of people over. He's still a redshirt freshman, and so he was the first freshman to start a season opener at quarterback for Hawaii in 20 years. But the fact that he was able to come in pretty hobbled, limping between plays and still pull out the win, he definitely won over a lot of people. And I think there is a sense now, this sense of hope that because he's there behind center, even if it is, a compromised version of himself, people are confident in this kid. They really like him. And so, yeah, I think that really does kind of inform the expectations for Hawaii this year. It's been a few years since they went to a bowl game, but I think, a lot of supporters of the program view that as kind of the next step for them this year. But if you ask the team, I think they always want to win every game they play. And so I'm sure they're thinking more than just a bowl game. But to kind of, put those expectations in the middle, I think a bowl game would be that next step for them.
Especially with last night's results and kind of the South Florida blowout of Boise State, who was considered to be, the kind of the king of the Mountain West Conference going into this year. Is there any feeling that Hawaii has the opportunity to potentially win this entire conference? Because it feels like with Mike Alejado and that passing attack that potentially, if things break right for this team, they truly could be a contender.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think a lot of people are really surprised about Boise State just because, they are the gold standard in the Mountain West. I think there's no question about that. And the fact that they, were in the playoffs last year. And so I think there is a sense in the Mountain West that, that wasn't their best showing and that might open the door. But I think just from a Hawaii perspective, it really does. There's so much on Mike Alejado's shoulders. If he comes out tomorrow and can barely walk and has to get removed, then I think you're resetting it again a little bit. But I think if Luke Weaver comes in and plays well, it all depends on how tomorrow goes. I think that's why, tomorrow's such a big game for them. But we'll see how it goes. And yeah, I think tomorrow is going to illustrate a lot of their season because number one, it is about the health of Mike Alejado, and it's so early too. So it's like, if he's hurt bad, then how does that bode for the next 10 games, So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
And, you kind of touched on this earlier, but last year, Arizona, they faced off against New Mexico, right? And obviously Arizona was able to come out with the victory in that game, but New Mexico gave Arizona a run for their money, a legitimate one. And wide receiver Luke Wysong and quarterback Devon Dampier really made a name for themselves in that game. Luke Wysong went off for a huge number of yardage in that game. Do you see any potential breakout players for Hawaii in this matchup with Arizona? And if you had to pinpoint one or two, who are two guys you think could really, really elevate their status in this matchup with Arizona?
Yeah, I think anytime, a mid-major or a group of 5 team comes in and would beat a Power 4 team, the stars would have to come out. But I'll give kind of an under the radar name. One of Hawaii's starting cornerbacks, Jaheim Wilson-Jones. He's from Arizona. He had an opportunity to walk on to Arizona out of high school, but he decided to take a scholarship to the University of Hawaii. I think if he has a big game tomorrow in front of his family and friends, that would, of course, be a really cool moment for him and his family. And so I think there might be some motivation there just because he's back home playing in front of, everyone that he's familiar with. And so I think that's a name I would circle for this game specifically. He had a big play last week where he broke up a Stanford pass on 3rd and 7 that forced Stanford to punt, and that ultimately set up Hawaii's game-winning field goal. And so, Jaheim Wilson-Jones would be my pick for maybe like an under-the-radar name for tomorrow's game.
And then before we get you out of here, can we get an official prediction on what could take place on Saturday from you, Christian? What do you think is gonna, Sunday morning, I guess, because it's a late kickoff. Sunday morning, how are we feeling in Hawaii? What's the verdict? What are the newspapers reading?
Yeah, sorry, man. So I've been asked to give a prediction for this game, and I generally don't give predictions anymore. I kind of stopped because you can try to break down the most accurate prediction you can, and then the next day there's going to be people that are like, hey, nice pick, dummy, and stuff like that. And so, but I will say, from a Hawaii perspective, if they were to win, whoever takes the field at quarterback would have to play well. And that's going to be a theme throughout the entire season. I don't think there's a single game on their schedule where they can get away with their quarterback not playing well. Micah Alejado had a great game against Stanford, even though the second half wasn't as effective because he was injured. But when you put it all together, I still think, the team was very happy with how he played. And so he's going to have to perform like that tomorrow if they were to win. So sorry to let you guys down on that one, but
all good.
We'll see.
Yeah. We totally understand, like, putting something out there and then people coming back at you and telling you all types of bad names and all types of things. We just have an opinion on this show, and people get wind of it on social media and they light us aflame because they went to a different school. But that's neither here nor there. Like I said, before we get you out of here, Christian, can you plug everything you have going on? Let the people know where to find your good work. Like I said, he is Christian Shimabuku. So where can they find you?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Kevin. I really appreciate that. I'm writing for an online publication in Honolulu called Aloha State Daily. So we're pretty new still. We launched in January. It's a brand new media organization. There's so many, as a newsroom, we cover a bunch of different topics. Pretty much one person per beat. So I do pretty much Hawaii sports, but there's other people that do, general Hawaii news, food and dining, politics and stuff like that. So I would say check out Aloha State Daily. We want to be the new news for Hawaii. And thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. Having this opportunity to talk about ASD, Aloha State Daily. If you guys ever want your Hawaii news fix, I would recommend Aloha State Daily.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate you. Christian Shimabuku, as of course, with Aloha State Daily. Go give him a follow. Go give them a follow. Like he said, they're just getting started up, doing some really cool things out there in Hawaii. So thank you so much for taking the time, Christian.
Awesome. Mahalo, guys. Thank you very much.
That was a great interview with the one, the only Christian Shimabuku. Check him out on Twitter, doing all, like he said, doing all the Hawaii sports stuff for ASD, Aloha State Daily. Damon and I are going to break down that interview with Christian and also get Justin Spears on the show as well to break it down from the Arizona perspective of things. All that and more here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. We'll be right back after a quick ad break. And we got to talk about it, Damon. It's an ad break, and so we got to talk about Circle K. Because it's the Freedom State's thirst shop. It's America's thirst stop. And I just need my Circle K fix. Every single day I stop in there. Not every single day I stop in there, but every single day I'm looking at a Circle K thinking, I need a snack. I need a some sort of thirst quenching drink. Or maybe just maybe, I join that inner circle like you should right now, get 25 cents off on your first 5 fill-ups, 3 cents off on every fill-up after that, and then 5 cents off once you graduate into that inner circle. And the deals don't stop there. So make sure to check out your local Circle K location and join that inner circle for free today by downloading the Circle K app. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details.
Kevin, are you looking for some gear to make you stand out in a crowd?
Always, Damon.
Well,
Always.
Then there's only one place to go, and that's Branded Bills, the ultimate custom headwear and apparel in the entire game. Listen, if you have any sort of small business that you want to promote, Branded Bills is the ultimate way to get custom apparel done for that business. And so you can really rep your brand and feel comfortable and stylish in doing so. But Kevin, I got the campus collection on right now. They have the ultimate Arizona Wildcats hats out there. If you like other universities as well, I know we have a couple of Scum Devils here in the chat. They have a decent little collection of those over there. But Branded Bills has the ultimate headwear and apparel when it comes to all types of sports. They of course they partner with the Phoenix Suns, which is a brand new partnership that they got going on, and the Mercury, of course, as well as part of that. So great Branded Bills hats for those two teams. But we love those Arizona Wildcats hats. I got one on right now. All types of different headwear, whether it's a trucker, a fitted, a beanie, a snapback, even a t-shirt, you name it. Branded Bills has you covered. Local company out of Mesa, Arizona. And with our promo code of BBPHNX, you're going to get 15% off your first order, guys. That's right, 15% off with promo code BBPHNX. Head to brandedbills.com and use that promo code BBPHNX.
Like I said, Damon, we're going to break down that interview we just had with Christian Shimabuku of Aloha State Daily. Make sure to check out all his work he's doing over there covering Hawaii sports. What in particular stuck out to you most? Where do you want to start with this breakdown, Damon? Is there anything out there that you're like, we got to start there?
Yeah, I just think that if Hawaii, and I know he didn't really say this explicitly, so it's not as if I'm, kind of pulling this, from his words explicitly, but I feel like if Micah Alejado is not ready to go in a big way, that this game could really get away from the Rainbow Warriors here. And that's not to say that I don't have respect for their team. I actually think that in a week in which they have a fully healthy quarterback, I think that this game is definitely one you have to watch out for. But if he looks as hobbled as he has in these practice shots, I know, Kevin, you've been monitoring that. Like he am I wrong? He looks fairly hobbled walking around. He's not doing a whole lot of drills. He's really working on individual stuff and throwing on the side. Like he really looks like they're like almost putting him on the shelf until tomorrow's game. And then you got to throw in a backup in Luke Weaver in his first action at Hawaii against a power conference opponent after that. So I don't know, man. I think that if Mike Alejado is not like kind of at like 90% or better, that this game really, really could escape Hawaii and Arizona can kind of pour it on. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see in regards to that. Is that kind of where you were at as well? Because my main takeaways were pretty much solely QB focused.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I think we'd be remiss to say any other takeaway was not the biggest takeaway. Like, we're talking about a Power 5 team facing off against a Big 12 team coming in with an injured quarterback. Well, not injured, but hurt quarterback. And you want to know the status of his availability, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if he is available, I know that there's the idea of, well, if you play, you can play. And I don't really care what your injury status was and tough tomatoes. You know what I mean? But,
yeah.
like, there's good context there. Like, how much of his natural ability is being removed by this lower body injury, right? And you alluded to it. Christian alluded to it. Like, at the press conference, he really couldn't put weight on that foot or on that ankle or on that lower part of his body at all. And as you know, I have a little heel thing I have going on right now. And like, I'm not comparing the two, but what I am saying is like, it's like the lower, like the foot and the ankle, that kind of stuff. You feel it in everything you do. Like, It's like a back injury. Like, you can't do something without feeling that, especially as a quarterback, right? And so I feel like if he is out there even 80% of what he really could be, it makes it a lot easier for Arizona. But yeah, I think that was probably what stood out to me most. And also, I think the praise for the cultural tie-ins, right, between Arizona and Hawaii. I think, like, we make a lot of it here in Arizona fan base, but I think it's cool to hear that, even over there on the islands in Hawaii, like they feel the same way about Arizona that Arizona feels about them. And it's pretty cool. And also, that was a nice little. I asked that question about the lay for those people out there that don't like it. That was for you. Get smarter, bro. Get smarter.
Yeah, I mean I think that's the important part of it, is that the people that are actually, like, you know, have a cultural appreciation for it, genuinely respect and care about Brent Brennan doing that. It's not for the, you know, the white dude who lives in Catalina foothills who goes to games on Saturdays and likes to tailgate before with his buddies, right? It's for, you know, the Fafita family giving it to Brent Brennan and kind of giving him that respect factor, and him, you know, accepting that respect factor as well. Like he said, he's going to continue to accept the lays if they're given to him. And I think that it's funny how outraged people get out of it. But I think that it really, what it goes to just show is that winning cures everything, because
Correct.
if Arizona's winning football games, no one cares about the stupid lays. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to be a conversation that's being had. But Kevin, we do have our guy here now, in the fold, in the flesh, Justin Spears, you know, the expert on Arizona football, and the only guy to talk to one day out from Arizona's first game. Justin, how we feeling? Is it just feeling like, you know, all the offseason of hard work and all those feature stories that you've written for Arizona Daily Star, Tucson.com, are just, it's culminating here tomorrow on the football field in Tucson?
Yeah, when I was scarfing down elote bites at Arizona Stadium earlier in the week, trying out the new concession items, I was like, oh yeah, this is the taste of football. We are officially here. Yeah, man, I think honestly, everyone is just excited to finally see these guys play a game. And there has been a lot of back and forth between the offense and the defense this training camp. And, you know, I sit there and I'm like, oh, the defense looks great. Is that because the offensive line is bad, or are things going to really turn around under Danny Gonzalez? So, I mean, I think there are some encouraging signs with this Arizona football team, but we don't really know until we see these guys take the field, and we'll see it on Saturday night.
You know, Spears, I love everything you had to say there, and we're going to talk more about this Hawaii matchup, but I got to start with what's most on my mind right now. What were you thinking with the anchovies, man?
Oh, yeah.
Man went for the world record anchovies eaten in how many seconds, or was it a minute, or what was it?
60 seconds.
Okay, yeah. So you went for the world record
anchovies.
for
One hand behind your back. You got to eat them one by one. And I was put to the test. I'm a fish guy. I don't mind fish. You know, I'm not going to put it on my pizza all the time, right? Like I'm a no anchovies guy, both in actual, like, real life and also the restaurant. It's a great place. But yeah, no, I was just put to the test and I figured I could do it.
You know, like the video, I saw it and it disgusted me, first of all, because I was thinking to myself, like, I don't have the guts to do this. And also, at the end of the video, they asked you, Spears, how you felt, and you said you felt gross. And so I was just like, I'm glad he went through that so that I didn't have to go through that, because you probably felt about as slimy as an anchovy after you got done with it. But that's neither here nor there. Football is back. We just spoke with a Hawaii beat reporter about the status of Micah Alejado. And he kind of, you know, obviously expects Alejado to play, but the extent to which he's going to be effective in the game is still up in the air. Do you think that that could be a problem for Hawaii come on Saturday? And what are you expecting from the Rainbow Warriors in that offensive department?
What's so crazy about the quarterback being Micah is that the NFL world has been turned upside down. I keep wanting to say Micah Parsons, but it's Micah Alejado, this quarterback for Hawaii. And he's a very impressive quarterback. Played at Bishop Gorman High School in Las Vegas, and very sneaky athletic. Even when he got banged up in the second half against Stanford last week, he was still able to get out of the pocket and make some plays with his legs. Now, he definitely looked hurt, right? I'm really curious to see how he's going to look coming up here on Saturday against Arizona. But this is a quarterback that does not turn over the football. If we're looking at his high school stats combined with his college stats, we are talking about over 130 touchdowns and just 4 interceptions. Think about that. Over 130 touchdowns and just 4 interceptions. The last time that this guy threw an interception, it was in 2022. It was when he was a junior in high school. So this guy does not throw interceptions. Now, with that being said, I feel like with him going through that ankle injury, I think Danny Gonzalez and this defense, they're sharks and they smell blood in the water. And I think that they are going to do whatever they can to make this guy's life hell. And they are going to bring the pressure. They're going to see if they can force him to create some silly turnovers. And if they can win the turnover battle and bring out that turnover sword Saturday night, I think Arizona's defense is going to be in a really good place. And then the offense, they got to be able to turn those takeaways into scoring opportunities. But I think this Micah Alejado guy, he's a great quarterback. But I think if Danny Gonzalez in those disguised blitzes and the crazy defenses that he's going to roll out, I think if they can rattle him and keep him corralled, like you want to make sure that the pocket collapses on him and he's not able to get out and make plays with his legs. If they can do that, then I think Arizona's defense is going to be in good shape.
I think every defensive coordinator, especially ones that get brought in, Justin, are they very much preach like aggressiveness and being physical and we're gonna blitz all the time and so it's not like crazy to hear Danny Gonzalez say that type of stuff. It's not different from what maybe other guys say. But in a game like this where you have a hobbled quarterback on the other side, you have a perceived line of scrimmage advantage. Do you think that the Wildcats are going to really try to be aggressive and blitz a ton on a quarterback that maybe is on one foot here?
Yeah, I think so. And I really don't even think they're going to take the chances just because I think that because of the guys that you have on the back end, you trust those guys to make those kind of blitzes, right? You trust Genesis Smith to stay on guys in coverage. Same with Dalton Johnson. I mean, even Traydon Stukes, if he's able to go. But even if Traydon is not able to go, I like what I see out of Gavin Hunter. Kind of a similar body as Genesis Smith. Not as he's taller than I thought. Like I was like, I'm curious how tall Gavin Hunter is, and he's got essentially like the same body type as Genesis Smith, and no one really talks about that. But Gavin Hunter could step in as a player in that nickel spot while Traydon recovers, and if Stukes plays, he'll probably be on a pitch count. But still, you have Dalton Johnson out there, you have Genesis Smith, a guy who I think can be an all Big 12 guy, and then the four cornerbacks that they have in Aiden Garnes, Javion Cole, Michael Dansby, and Marquise Groves-Killebrew. We'll see what his status is for Saturday. Those are pretty solid options at cornerback. So I think because the fact that there's so much talent in the back end, I think that Danny Gonzalez trusts those guys to make the plays, and you can get a little bit more creative up front. So I think that against Hawaii, Danny Gonzalez may not show his entire hand, but I think we're going to see some funny stuff.
Yeah, I think you have an interesting strength-on-strength matchup when it comes to Hawaii's wide receivers versus Arizona's defensive backs, and it seems like that kind of one-on-one there is going to potentially have a big impact on this game. I did want to stick there with something that you were talking about in terms of just Traydon Stukes and his ability to go. What are you hearing, and do you think that Traydon Stukes will be on a pitch count tomorrow, or do you think that he's more likely to sit out?
Yeah, I don't know. This is a tough one. Just because it is Hawaii and Gavin Hunter is really good. So do you trust Gavin Hunter to go out there and make all the plays? And I know that's going to be a very important game for him too, because he's from Hawaii. So that's a personal matchup for him. But, I also think that, if Traydon is available, why not throw him out there? But you also have to be very, very mindful. And they're being very careful about bringing guys back. Like Rhino Tapatotai might not play. They might sit him out and play him against Weber State just to get him right for Kansas State. And there's some new changes in the strength and conditioning staff, and they are very cautious about really bringing guys back. So, yeah, I don't know what the status is for Traydon Stukes, and because it's a non-conference game, we don't get the injury reports, but he did take team reps. So it's not like he's been completely removed and then Arizona's going to take a last-minute chance at putting him in the game. He is involved in team periods. Same with Rhino Tapatotai. It's just, do you want to gamble? Do you feel like they're ready to go? And, of course, if they're ready to go, then they'll make that decision. So, yeah, Rhino Tapatotai and Traydon Stukes are really the two questionable injuries that I'm going to be paying attention to during warmups.
And then in terms of, your expectations for this game for Arizona, Damon and I have spoken about how much we would be panicking if Arizona doesn't really put the pedal to the metal in this game and make a statement against Hawaii. But are you on the same boat there? How do you feel? What are you expecting from Arizona tomorrow?
I think that if Arizona doesn't win by at least 3 touchdowns, we might have some concerns. Now, Hawaii, this is a big game for them, right? This is the Power 4 team. They're coming across the pond to the mainland to play against the Power 4 team. And so the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, they're going to be ready for this game. And, we had Seth Dagey on the radio show today, and Seth is fully prepared for Hawaii to throw that first punch. He told his guys, like, they're tough, they play really hard, and they play with this nasty spirit. And don't be surprised if they come out and they deliver the first punch. Now, how are you going to respond after Hawaii delivers that first punch? We'll see a lot about this Arizona team. But after watching that game against Stanford, even with Micah Alejado at 100% before the injury, I wasn't really impressed with Hawaii. And I feel like Arizona, with the amount of newcomers that they've added, really good newcomers, and also the notable returners, I mean, they're favored by 17.5 for a reason. I mean, that went from 13.5 to 17.5 once Micah Alejado's ankle injury came up. So I feel like Arizona, if they can really, really make Micah Alejado's life hell, if they can create some turnovers and get some stops and convert a lot of those drives into points, and not just points, but touchdowns, because you don't have Tyler Loop anymore. You don't have the automatic 3 points anytime you get on the other side of the field. You got to be able to put the ball in the end zone, which is a big problem for Arizona last year. And Seth Dagey, all he wants to do is score touchdowns. I mean, I know that's the objective every time you get out on the field for offense, but 30 points or more, that's the kind of brand that Arizona wants to play with.
What kind of offense do you think Arizona fans should expect in this one? Because I think, I already talked about that perceived line advantage. I think a lot of times in games like that, you want to see a good established ground game, especially after the way last season went and kind of that lack of offensive identity and ability to have any efficiency on the ground. Do you think that Arizona is going to really try to emphasize that ground game, or do you think that they're going to air it out more so?
I think you'll see Arizona air it out a few times, but I think this is really a game for the running backs to get involved. And not just running the ball, but also pass catching too, catching out of the backfield. And Ismail Mahdi is a really good running back. I mean, this guy can do everything. He was an all-purpose All-American a couple years ago at Texas State. Look out for him in the return game. And I think also getting out of the backfield, we had Kyle Quinn on the show today, and he made a really interesting comparison with Ismail Mahdi. He's kind of like a taller J.J. Taylor. Like, if you look at his skill set and what he does, very much like J.J. Taylor, but just a smidge taller. And I agree with that comparison. And I also think that Quincy Craig is going to have a big season this year, and he may not show it in this game coming up against Hawaii, but if we're talking about the most versatile running backs that Arizona has, I'd say Quincy Craig is up on that list. He's a really good pass catcher. I would say he's probably a better pass catcher than he is a runner, but he also had several runs in training camp where he broke out for long touchdowns. And he's also the best blocker too. So he's going to get a lot of snaps on Saturday and this season. And I think that establishing the run is going to be very key, because Arizona did not have that last year. I mean, they were such a one-dimensional team. I think it says a lot that Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, I think, was either the third or the fourth leading rusher for the Wildcats, and he only played in one game. Like, that cannot happen this year. So I think getting those running backs involved, really putting an emphasis on that, that was something that Seth Dagey did at Marshall. Now, he did that at Marshall because he had to. At Arizona, he can really create this into a multi-dimensional offense, and they're going to have to. They have to stay ahead of the chains. They have to really set themselves up for these third and shorts rather than these third and longs that we saw a lot of times last year. So I think running the football, which was second worst in the Big 12 last year, I think that's going to be a very noticeable improvement for Arizona this year.
You know, it's a good take. That's something Damon brought up on a past show as well, and now Justin Spears has echoed it. So you have the dual confirmation. What is it? Two system authentication, whatever it is. That there it is for your take.
Yep.
But
The meeting of the minds.
exactly. I was gonna say, like, we've been talking a lot about the running game for Arizona this year and how dynamic it could really be between coming out of the backfield and also just generally having more, I guess, horses in the backfield to actually have a competent run game. How do you think that's going to open it up for Noah Fafita on Saturday? And do you expect him to have somewhat of a quiet day and kind of have the running backs carry the lion's share of the production? Or do you think that Noah Fafita is really going to welcome the fans back into Arizona Stadium with a banger?
First play of the game, deep pass to Chris Hunter, touchdown. Call it right here. No, but I think that the running backs, what you're going to see on Saturday is you're going to see maybe a quiet game for Noah Fafita in comparison to some of the other matchups. But one thing that's going to be very important is the number 0 next to turnovers. And there were a lot of times last year where it felt like Noah Fafita was on like this 8-game streak of throwing at least one interception, right? He had one blunder in every game. But outside of that, he was a very clean quarterback. He did lead the league in interceptions last year. Also led the college football in throwaways. But I also think a big part of that was the offense and just how bad it was. I mean, Dino Babers in that offense was just bad. And so now that with Seth Dagey really, taking charge of the offense and being an extra quarterback in the room, he knows what it's going to take for this offense to flow. And getting those running backs involved, I think, is going to be so key. But it's going to be a very vanilla game, in my opinion, offensively. I really do. Like, I think that because it's a new offense and there's just so much newness to all of it, I think that in actuality, Seth Dagey's system is like a Cheesecake Factory menu. It's got a whole bunch of pages, man. Like, you can just comb through those pages and you can really get crazy, right? But I think the play call sheet that we're going to see on Saturday, it's going to be, and even Brent Brennan referenced it could be more like a bar menu, or it's just the basics, it's the hits, it's the good stuff, and the stuff that is going to win on Saturday.
Justin, there's been some hints, I think, in and around the program that the current coaching staff has kind of like made it clear that last year's, especially on the offensive side of the ball, coaching staff was not, all that up to snuff in terms of, what was going on in the current landscape of college football. I don't want to get you in trouble, but have you felt that as well in talking to a lot of these offensive coaches? And do you think that that's like going to be the number one change from last year to this year, like me and Kevin do, where it's just like you go from essentially almost being incompetent on the offensive schematic side of things to, having a clear and concise plan?
Yeah, I think last year was officially put to rest as soon as they hired the new coordinators. And then once they had all the coaches at their spot at the table, then I think they officially moved on. That goes across the board. That goes with the defense. On the defensive line, I'm already noticing a big difference with those guys. Trey Smith coming off the edge looks more disciplined, more responsible. You're not going to see a lot of him bull rushing upfield and then Devin Dampier or mobile quarterbacks just kind of slipping under him and breaking off for long runs. ASU, they had a field day running the football because of that. And so I'm already seeing that with Trey Smith and Arizona's defensive line. And then I think with the offense, there are a lot of flexibility with the receivers, but there's also structure with Seth Dagey. There's a lot of choice routes, but he also makes sure he ensures that there aren't going to be wide receivers cutting each other off and there's miscommunication and guys are running into each other. And it's a free-flowing offense that is it's just unique. It really is. That's the best way to describe it. And I feel like the running backs are going to have way more receptions, way more catches out of the backfield than we've seen in recent years. Like, I think these running backs are going to be used kind of similar to Michael Wiley a couple years ago, a guy who is really good at catching out of the backfield. Well, Arizona has a few of those guys, in my opinion. So I think that with Seth Dagey now in charge, it's going to really open up this offense. We're going to see more intent, sense of urgency, getting out of the huddle, snappiness. It was a struggle for the offensive line at first. I mean, having to get upfield and get lined up and maintain that pace, that was a challenge at first. But now Arizona is so just well trained at maintaining that pace. And I think you guys are going to be very impressed with what you see out of this offense coming up here on Saturday.
We have more from Justin Spears after this break here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. Don't go anywhere. We're going to continue to break down this game and maybe even get a prediction out of Justin Spears. Don't go anywhere. And I have to talk to you folks about our great friends over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. We were there literally last night for
Nothing
our PHNX fantasy football draft party. The diehards were out and about. We were, looking at the slots and tables. It was a great time. I had some good food, a couple good IPAs. It was a hell of a time with the family out there at Gila River Resorts and Casinos Wild Horse Pass location that time. But you can also hit them up at Beekiva, Lone Butte. They got all types of different locations out here in the Freedom State of Arizona. So make sure to check out Gila River Resorts and Casinos, because at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, no one does it better, and you do you. So go all in with one of the over 4,500 slots and live table games, or catch all the action at any of their ginormous sports books. If there's a sporting event, it's on at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. So you do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details.
Kevin, of course, we are only one day away from Arizona's first game kicking off versus the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. But if you guys still haven't gotten your tickets yet and you're trying to head out to Arizona Stadium to watch the Wildcats in their home opener, there's only one app to do it on, and that's the Game Time app. They have the absolute best college football deals going on the market right now. The only place to buy last minute game tickets. If you're a procrastinator like me and like Kevin is, that Game Time and waiting until the last minute to buy your tickets is the absolute best case scenario. Here's the great news about Game Time. The tickets get cheaper. The longer you wait, the closer you wait to the first play of the game. So you can go ahead and procrastinate as long as possible and get the cheapest tickets possible. Having some struggle, with the words right now during the ad read, but that's okay. Game Time, it's the cheapest app. They show you exactly what the price is going to be right before you make the purchase. So, they're not like kind of hiding those ticket fees from you. And they tell you what your view from your seat's going to look like before you buy something that you regret. They got their lowest price guarantee as well. Well, they'll credit you 110% of the difference if they are not the cheapest tickets available, but they will be. That's their guarantee. That's why they have that lowest price guarantee. And we're going to help you out with our promo code of PHNX to get you $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Create an account, use our promo code of PHNX, get that $20 off. Terms apply. Tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. Kevin, what time is it?
Game time. Aroof. Welcome back, Justin Spears. It is game time tomorrow for the Arizona Wildcats. And I have one question for you, Justin. Is this the Dick Tomey Bowl?
Oh, 100%, man. This is the Dick Tomey Bowl. And I looked up to make sure that it wasn't copyrighted. And because I know that San Jose State and Hawaii, two teams that also had Dick Tomey as their head coach, they play for the Dick Tomey Legacy Trophy every single year. But it's not the Dick Tomey Bowl. So I'm officially dubbing Arizona versus Hawaii the Dick Tomey Bowl. And this is the first time that these two teams have played against each other since the passing of Dick Tomey. So the greatest football coach in Arizona history will be on the minds of a lot of people. And then, of course, Brent Brennan being first cousins with former Hawaii quarterback Colt Brennan. There's just a lot of unique connections between the Wildcats and the Rainbow Warriors. And I don't know if you guys know this, but the first time Bear Down, Arizona was publicly performed was in 1952 before Arizona played against Hawaii. They heard Bear Down, Arizona, and they went out and beat Hawaii 57-7. Wow. So lots of unique connections between these two programs. Another one, Timmy Chang, Hawaii's head coach, before he went on to play quarterback for the Rainbow Warriors. Brent Brennan had a hand in recruiting him, or he was a graduate assistant at the time while Hawaii was recruiting him. So Brent Brennan has known Timmy Chang since Timmy was like 16, 17 years old. So yeah, there's just a lot of unique connections. And I also think too, it's great that, for Polynesian Heritage Night, that you're going to honor two of some of the best Polynesian players in program history. You got Tetero McMillan going into the Ring of Honor along with Randy Robbins, which I think is cool that a defensive back and a wide receiver is going in the Ring of Honor at the same time. And then at the beginning of the game, along with our guy Tyler Loop, the Baltimore Ravens kicker, who's killing it right now and is going to be the starting kicker for the Ravens, Jonas Avianaya is going to be an honorary captain. So it's going to be a very special night at Arizona Stadium celebrating Polynesian heritage. And yeah, but anyways, going back to your original question, this is the Dick Tomey Bowl. And Dick Tomey, if you want to talk about, just a staple of Arizona athletics and also Polynesian heritage. This guy's like me. He's a white guy, but you would never know if you would go to the islands because he is so well respected and so revered. And when he became the head coach at Arizona, replacing Larry Smith, he was the guy that brought Polynesian players to Tucson because there was a toughness to Polynesian football players, but there was also a sense of togetherness, community, and family. And Dick Tomey appreciated that, being the head coach for so many years at Hawaii, and he wanted to introduce that to Arizona. And sure enough, look at the fabric of Arizona football now. A big part of what the Wildcats are is the Polynesian influence, and that goes all the way back to Dick Tomey starting off in 1987. The man has not coached a football game for a quarter century at the U of A, and yet his presence, his impact is still felt in the program. It's pretty cool.
It is. It's really, really cool, Justin. And I honestly, before you described the trophy between San Jose State and Hawaii, I was sitting here and I was like, it is kind of a miss that there isn't like a Hawaii versus Arizona trophy. But it seems like that has already been thought of. And of course, interconference opponents makes a little bit more sense, I guess, for them. But not only is it the Dick Tomey Bowl, I'm dubbing it the battle of short king quarterbacks between Noah Fafita and Micah Alejado. I think that whoever wins this one is truly gets the crown of the ultimate short king quarterback in college football.
Lord Farr quarterback instead of Lord Farquaad. Lord Farr quarterback. Shout out to all the Shrek fans out there. But yeah, if we're talking about maybe the best short king quarterback in college football, Noah Fafita is up there. Seth Dagey even said that if he was 6'5" or even 6'3", he'd be considered a top 5, top 10 quarterback in the league, or not just in the league, but in college football. But yeah, he's been short his entire life, and yet he's been able to play at such a high level. So people want to doubt Noah Fafita for his ability as a short quarterback. The dude did it his entire life, even at the highest level of high school football, playing at Servite. Playing in the Trinity League, that's nothing to scoff at. That's pretty big time stuff right there. And then he comes to Arizona and continues to do it. So yeah, man, we're in the era of short king quarterbacks. And I don't know who's the guy that is the pioneer of short king quarterbacks. I know that Kyler Murray is in that conversation. Do we consider Baker Mayfield a short king quarterback?
Yeah, I think so.
How tall is Bake?
Drew Brees.
Yeah, Drew Brees. Okay. Maybe Drew Brees is the pioneer, because I know Doug Flutie was undersized, but do we consider Drew Brees the true short king quarterback, the top of the top?
Flutie counts. I think Flutie counts for sure. I think that back in the day, especially, people saw a quarterback that was about 6 feet tall, and they were like, "What is this wizard doing on the football field right now? It's unbelievable." But Justin, I did want to put you on the spot now and get back to Kevin's earlier, preview. Do we have a prediction officially for this game? I saw that you and Michael Lev, of course, who is your coworker at the Arizona Daily Star, and Jordan Ham of Sports 360 AZ, went through some games and made some predictions. Can you give us your prediction for the Arizona Wildcats Hawaii Rainbow Warriors game? For the AZ Wildcats podcast fans.
Yeah, babe. I'm going with the Fetty Wap score, 38-17. 17-38. That's my final score. I got Arizona by 3 touchdowns. They win this game. And that's my score prediction.
You're crushing Kevin today, from the cheesecake joke to the Shrek, Lord Farquaad to the 1738. Kevin is just, it's a comedy hour over here on the AZ Wildcats pod.
I mean, it's Fired Up Friday, and Spears might be the fired up out of all of us.
He
might
brought
be
the
the
energy,
most. Yeah,
for sure.
He did. He understood the assignment, and I'm all about it. Justin, you were going to give your prediction. You said 17-38 in favor of the Arizona Wildcats. So that is a cover. Check that off, Glenn. And yeah, before we get you out of here, Spears, we wanted to ask you: have you eyeballed any of this weekend's matchups outside of Arizona, Hawaii that you're interested to talk about today? And I also wanted to ask you a little bit about Dylan Raiola and why that might be the saddest thing ever to end today's show. Dude,
don't even get me started on that guy. Don't even get me started on him. Like, I tweeted this out earlier, man, and it's starting to piss me off that he's just not admitting that he's cosplaying Patrick Mahomes. And it just reminds me so much of the movie The Other Guys, where Michael Keaton, a.k.a. Captain Gene, the police chief, he keeps making TLC references. And they keep asking him, okay, you say you don't want no scrubs. You say don't go chasing waterfalls. What's up with this? And he's like, I don't understand what you're talking about.
Guys, what are you talking about?
Don't get the reference. He's like, oh, hey, come on, man. I ain't too proud to beg. And he's like, oh, come on, man. It's not even funny anymore. That's what Dylan Raiola is doing with this whole Patrick Mahomes cosplay, man. He's like, I can't help that we got the same haircut and I do the same pregame rituals as him. And I wear my headband the same and my armband's the same. I wear the Pit Viper glasses just like him. And my girlfriend's also named Brittany as well. Like, dude, this guy. No, that's not true. But
I was about to. What?
Dude, it's like every
it actually
little
wasn't. Then he actually had her change her name to Brittany. It was kind of an interesting.
Her name's
play.
Actually Michelle, but he orders her to answer to Brittany,
He calls her Brittany.
Dude, you know what's crazy is, like, I kind of prefer the way Mahomes talks over him. Like, I listen to these two guys and their voices, and I'm like, man, I'll take Kermit the Frog over what the hell this is. Listen, I'm being hard on the guy. He's a really good quarterback. Don't get me wrong, but it's just, dude, just admit it. Like, if you were just to say, like, yes, he's the best quarterback in the league, I want to mimic that. I want to emulate that and do whatever I can to get to that point. I would respect him a whole lot more, but the fact that he's like, what? I don't know. So, anyways, enough about Dylan Raiola.
It's still weird, though. Like, even if he was like, oh, I just want to be exactly like Patrick Mahomes, it's like, don't you want to be the first Dylan Raiola? Like, there already has. You only get one chance to be you on planet Earth. Why would you spend? I get it. Patrick Mahomes is probably going to be a billionaire, but, like, I want to be like that too, but I still want to be Kevin Thomas. So, like, I don't know. If I was Dylan Raiola, it's like, just be Dylan. Whatever Dylan is, be that guy.
Dylan Raiola is those guys on the Vegas Strip that look like Captain Jack Sparrow or look like an actor. And
somebody said he looked like an Elvis Presley on Vegas. Like, you're going down Fremont Street and Elvis is trying to get you to donate to whatever he has going on. And you're like, you're not. He's dead. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. That's Dylan Raiola right now.
Or like a kid dressing up like a Spider-Man being like, I'm Spidey. I can do all the stuff Spidey can do. And it's like, you really can't.
He's taking pictures with foreign tourists right now and trying to charge money off of them. It's brutal.
Fake Justin Bieber.
But yeah, I honestly, like, I think he can get away with most of it until he does the pregame warm-up, like, jump up in the air, slap his chest, scream. Like, that whole thing it's just like, dude, you literally, not only did you copy him, you studied tape.
He's doing the hand thing.
And you practiced it in front of a mirror. And it's gone to insane levels of mimicking at that point. But Justin, before you go, we did need to ask you about just what are your thoughts on, it could be games from yesterday, games tonight, games this weekend, any games that have caught your eye that you're definitely you have on the horizon that you're highlighted for you.
Well, first of all, bless this country that the first appearance that Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift make are at a midweek college football game with the Cincinnati Bearcats in Kansas City, which I thought was really cool. But I think the best games that I'm looking forward to, well, first and foremost, Ohio State, Texas, man. Like, this is the game where I think that Arch Manning could have his Heisman moment. Right now that he's taken over as the true starter of the Texas Longhorns, you're going into the Horseshoe, hostile environment, week one. And I also think that they feel Ohio State's a little vulnerable because, yeah, you won the national championship, but you also lost both of your coordinators. So how are these guys going to look with new play callers? And Texas, they're coming in as the number 1 ranked team in the country. So this really sets up for an Arch Manning Heisman moment, or at least starting that trend, right? And then outside of Ohio State, Texas at 9 a.m., which I think is going to be great before the game with Lee Corso making his final headgear pick. He's going to pick Ohio State, right? I mean, his first headgear pick was Ohio State. You got to make it the last one. Or in Lee Corso fashion, says, "Not so fast, my friend," and puts on the Bevo head. That would be interesting. But I think he's going to bookend it with the Brutus Buckeye headgear. But outside of that game, I love the matchup with LSU and Clemson. LSU, they haven't won a season opener since 2019. Under Brian Kelly, they're 0-3 in season openers, and now they got to go to the other Death Valley, the one that's in the ACC. So Garrett Nussmeier, you want your Heisman moment? This is it right here. LSU has been kind of viewed as a team that could win the national championship. And then other games outside of that, I mean, the rivalry between Notre Dame and Miami, I was thinking about Catholics versus convicts in the shirts. It's a top 10 game. I have Notre Dame winning that matchup, but I think, Miami, I mean, this could be really a make or break year for Mario Cristobal, right? And then, Bill Belichick, Monday Night Football, Labor Day. Who's got the Jordan Wilson camera? How many times are they going to mention her and put her on camera? And Bill Belichick, hey, you're playing against TCU. I think Sonny Dykes is going to give him the old, hey, welcome to college football, bro. You might be the greatest NFL coach of all time, but you're in a whole different world, brother. Let me put 49 points on you with my quarterback, Josh Hoover. So I'm excited for these games, man. Week 1 is just absolutely loaded. It's a 3-day weekend. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, there's a great slate, especially for a week 1 slate. Feels like this year you've definitely seen more of a concerted effort to get a lot of power conference teams playing each other early in the season, in particular. But another game interconference it's kind of massive for the Big 12, and just kind of like the narrative surrounding the conference, and it happens tonight, is Baylor Auburn. Are you locked into Baylor Auburn, and who do you think comes out on top there? Because Baylor's at home. Baylor has expectations, but Baylor's underdogs to Auburn, who is not supposed to be all that great in the SEC this year.
Yeah, but they do have a really good quarterback in Jackson Arnold, who Arizona fans are very familiar with. He was the quarterback of the Oklahoma Sooners in the Alamo Bowl, as David throws up the L. And he's got just absolute talent across the board at receivers. That offense, I think, is going to be really good this year for Auburn. And then Baylor, Sawyer Robertson kind of got on a roll towards the second half of the year. Baylor got on a roll in the second half of the year. I mean, we were talking about Dave Aranda possibly being on the hot seat. And what a way it would be for him to really come out and show that he should be the coach at Baylor by coming out and beating Auburn. I have Auburn winning this game. I think it's going to be a close matchup, but I got the Tigers winning this one.
Yeah, I can't wait for football. We got a little bit of our feet wet yesterday, giving out just a little free money line home dog on USF. Me and Kevin, that's just kind of what we do on the AZ Wildcats podcast, is just give you some free money to play with for the rest of the weekend. But Justin, we're fired up for Friday. We're fired up for Saturday as well. And we'll talk to you next week to recap what Arizona and Hawaii got going on.
But real quick, before we get Justin out of here, should we keep Justin around for the fantasy football talk? I might need someone to make sure I don't get attacked.
You got one player for sure that you're going to, we put this on screen. We flash this on screen. My guy, so we did our PHNX fantasy football draft yesterday. We all drafted teams, 12-team league. I, of course, immediately checked for when mine and Kevin's matchup is going to be. And in week 8, we play each other. This is what we got on screen here. My team is on the left. Kevin's team is on the right. I just wanted to start off and say Kevin's actual starting lineup is not as bad as maybe a lot of people around this office have been attacking him for. His bench, though, is diabolical. Yeah, I mean, the guy is rostering 3 quarterbacks. He's rostering 3 tight ends. He just completely gave up on the latter end of this draft. He drafted Tyler Loop in about the 8th round because it was just a must for him to leave this draft with Tyler Loop as his starting kicker. He was peeping through his hands at me while I was up on the podium like this, while he thought I was about to take T-Mac at one spot ahead of him. And I said, you know what, Kevin, I'm going to go ahead and let you take T-Mac here. And I took Calvin Ridley instead. But I love you, Kevin, but man, you might be doing the Waffle House challenge. You might be spending 24 hours at a Waffle House in your future.
We won't know until the season is all said and done. I rest on my laurel. I hang my hat on this of last year. Everybody throughout the entire season, up until pretty much the end of the playoffs, said I had the worst roster, which was true. And it was true also that I finished in third and made the playoffs. So I feel like actually having a good starting lineup this time around is all I really needed. And once I got that good starting lineup, maybe I got a little bit complacent. Maybe I got a little bit disengaged with, it was a quick 30 seconds. Saul, he's on the East Coast. He wanted this draft to be over as soon as possible. So he's like, all right, after the 5th round, we're going from 1 minute to 30 seconds. And now I'm pressed. I don't know what to do when the clock is on me. We got to make the pick. We got to walk up there, walk back. I'm flustered. So, yeah, I picked J.J. McCarthy. So, yeah, I picked a third tight end when I kind of forgot that I already had 2. But so what? People are freaking out. They're like, oh, I need this third-string receiver from the Cleveland Browns because he is a league winner. And it's like the guy's not going to play until week 4 probably. You don't even know who he was 2 weeks ago. And you're acting like I'm a criminal for drafting a couple of tight ends out of love for the damn game, okay? This is Iowa football in many ways over on the lunatic side of things. And so, look, I understand that my depth is horrendous. I understand my bench is criminal. But also, let's just keep it real. That starting lineup can compete. And people in the chat last night in our fantasy draft stream, they were like, this is the worst draft I've ever seen. Straight up BS. You have not looked at a ton of drafts. I guarantee you, there are way worse teams out there this year playing fantasy. Of the millions and millions of teams out there, ain't no way, we're going to throw it back, ain't no way my team is the worst in the nation. You know what I mean? Pat Mahomes, Malik Neighbors, JSN, Tet. We got Tet. People calling him Tet. Not on my team.
You just called him Tet.
No, I was setting up the thing. I'm saying, we got Tet. People calling him Tet. Not over here. He's T-Mac on my team. He's Nalo on my team.
You got good receivers, and you got Justin's guy Amari and Hampton.
Yes, sir.
Needing to play a big role. A big role.
Yeah, true. No, that's true. But
and
if he doesn't,
you have 2 running backs on your entire roster.
Yeah,
and one of them is on the wrong side of 30.
They're expendable. We'll get more if we need them.
Looks like Kevin is rocking 14 personnel right now. Got all the tight ends in the world. And who knows? You know what? We talk about Kevin having the worst bench in the world, but I'm willing to bet Kevin's got some general manager expertise. Maybe a trade, maybe fleecing a guy or 2 is in the near future. I'm not doubting Kevin, man.
Yes, yesterday, Justin, when he drafted his 3rd quarterback, I believe, I looked at him and I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "It's a strat." And I said, "No, it's not. No, it's not." And then now he just admitted that he forgot that he had that many quarterbacks.
30 seconds is not a lot of time, and there's a lot of names on the screen when you're going through.
Tried to gaslight me into saying that it was on purpose, though, yesterday, it's just gross. It's gross that you do that.
I was in the moment. I was scared. I made a bad pick, and I knew it, and I'm just like, guys, it was a strategy. I don't know what kind of strategy, but it was a strategy, and we can leave it there. We can talk about this tomorrow when I've had time to sleep on it and make an excuse.
Here's the biggest takeaway. Your season kind of rides on Amari and Hampton, which means that it rides on Justin Spears' guy, which means that our weekly updates with Justin Spears, after U of A football games, you can also ask him about your RB1, Amari and Hampton, and just what he saw from him on the weekend. We could kind of make that a double correspondent situation. But we appreciate you, Justin. Thank you for taking the time, my guy. And we look forward to talking to you after the Arizona Wildcats get a W and a cover versus the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors this weekend.
Yeah, baby.
1738 from our guy Justin Spears. Follow Justin at Justin E Sports on Twitter there. You can also follow all of his great work on Tucson.com for the Arizona Daily Star, as well as Spears and Ali weekday mornings every Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Kevin, anything else real quick before we get out of here? Because We don't have too much more to get through, but
No.
we are chomping at the bit to talk about some actual tangible football being played in front of our eyes on the field, real things, not made up speculation like this entire summer we've had to do. Give me football.
Give us something to actually extrapolate and talk about and analyze. I am with it. And what I did want to talk about to end this show on a fired up Friday.
Sam, it's funny you mentioned
Yeah,
that.
I was going to say, Sam says no JCM for either of you guys. And I have an answer for
Let
you,
me
Sam.
just preface this by saying this was by far Kevin's worst miscalculation
Fact.
of the entire
Fact.
draft. He had a designated plan of getting Arizona Wildcats on his team because he wanted to root for his guys. And I get that, and I respect that. And part of the reason why I was like, you know what? I was kind of in between Calvin Ridley and T-Mac, and I was like, I'll let my guy Kevin have T-Mac because I know it means the world to him. Kevin had an opportunity to draft Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt on the board in front of his face, and one pick after selecting T-Mac, he turns around and he goes, give me Tyler Loop.
I panicked again.
And if he was smart, he would have realized he could have gotten Tyler Loop the next round, pick JCM right there, and then he wouldn't have gotten swooped in for JCM the pick ahead of him, which ended up happening. Someone got Bill later in that round, and Kevin missed out on him. Unbelievable miss from you, Kevin. You could have easily had all three of those Wildcats on your team.
It's what kept me up last night.
Yeah,
to be honest with you, I was thinking of all the mistakes of drafting JJ McCarthy, of drafting Tucker Kraft, of taking Evan Ingram as high as I did. You know what? All that is all good at the end of the day because they're the players that I kind of wanted on my team. Lesser, with the Tucker Kraft, that was kind of a panic thing. You know what I mean? And it was the IPA as well. You're right, Glenn. But I messed up. I never should have taken Tyler Loop where I did. I should have taken JCM because he got taken 8 picks later. It was one of those things where once you press the pick button, you think of who you should have picked and you're an idiot. You know what I mean? That's how I felt. Walking out of Gila River Resorts and Casinos, I felt great about my team, but I felt like we were missing a bill. And no man,
there's a bill-sized hole just
man.
on your roster right now, and it's in the form of your third tight end. I think if you just had Bill instead of 3 tight ends, things would be really on the up and up for this roster and this franchise right now.
It's kind of true, isn't it?
It actually kind of is because you needed you need a backup running back like oxygen to breathe, and unfortunately you have 2 backup quarterbacks and 2 backup tight ends, so that's nice.
Yeah.
But Sam, I hear you. Loop might average more than JCM, but from a fantasy perspective, and I was trying to explain this to my guy Kevin, you want to throw as many darts at the dartboard as possible. So when it comes to running backs, it's give me there's not a lot of running backs this year. Get late rounds, give me every running back who has a chance of starting potentially. And Bill Krosky-Merritt is obviously one of those guys. Kevin, Tyler Loop might average more, but the difference between Tyler Loop, even if he finishes kicker 1 on the year versus kicker 20, is so minuscule compared to the off chance that Bill Krosky-Merritt is the lead back in one of the best offenses in football.
But I'm going to regret that the whole season.
Especially if JCM is good. But it's okay. Hey, you still got a couple guys to root for, and your team, they have a chip on their shoulder now, Kevin, because the whole chat yesterday, every employee at this company, everybody was coming after your guy, Kevin, saying start looking up Waffle Houses near you. And Kevin, I heard that the boys, they respond well to that type of doubt.
We did last year. We responded damn well to it. We caught everybody on their worst week, and we're going to see how we go this year if we can manifest some of that. And I just, you're right, Connor. It was the on the clock and the lack of deep preparation that really screwed me over there. Because if I had a little bit of a deeper preparation, maybe some lesser known names on my prep sheet that I could go to in the late rounds, that's where I messed up. Truly, Damon, is I was really prepared on all right, the first 6 rounds. This is my strategy.
Yes.
I'm going boom, 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 this, that, third, and then the third. But then after that, I had no plan. And the clock just kept getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And I kept getting more panicked and scared. I had two IPAs. I was buzzing, feeling great. Had some chicken, had some queso. It was unbelievable. And then the stress got to me. I was vibing in the first 6, and then the stress got to me in the second half of it. But we learn and we live, and we win the league as a result. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and we're also going to have a good comparison point for our 2 running backs all season long because I have Travion Henderson, who you were considering picking, and you picked Amari Hampton one spot ahead of him. I was going to go with either one of those guys, leaning Hampton if both were available, but I know those were the two you were considering taking, so I was going to take whoever you didn't. And so now all season long, I think it's your team Amari and Hampton, and I'm team Travion Henderson, and it just means everything.
I mean, and talk about team culture. You got Butker, I got Tyler Loop. I'm winning. But anyway, that's going to do it for the AZ Wildcats podcast. It's been a fired up Friday previewing the Hawaii matchup on Saturday. Damon, let's get out of here. You can follow him at Damon Dog. We have a super chat.
We got a
from
super
my
chat
mother.
from Kevin's mom, June. Thank you so much, June. Another fantastic show, gentlemen. We really appreciate you. We are absolutely chomping at the bit over here at PHNX Sports and at AZ Wildcats podcast when it comes to tomorrow's game. We're going to be giving you all the best around the clock coverage when it comes to this football season. But please, guys, we are going to be doing a pregame show 30 minutes prior to kickoff tomorrow. So at 7 p.m., make sure that you guys are here on the channel. We're going to get those streams made for you early in the morning so you can see them, turn those notifications on, and have them all day. If you haven't liked this video, please do so. The likes do us such big favors. If you're an audio listener, please rate and review. If you're not an audio listener, go subscribe on your audio platform app that you have on your phone, and then rate us and maybe delete the app or whatever, take it out of there, but help us out anyways. I don't care. Just give us the rating in the review, and that's all that matters to me if you watch on YouTube. But like this video, subscribe to the channel, be here for our pregame show tomorrow at 7 p.m. Be there for our postgame show tomorrow, 15 minutes after the clock hits 0. And follow my guy Kevin at Kevo Post. Follow me at Damon Dog at CAWG. Follow us at PHNX_Wildcats. Anything else before we get out of here, Kevin?
That's going to do it. Pray for my fantasy roster, and that's about it.
Appreciate everybody for being here on a football Friday. We are fired up. I keep saying it, but I am absolutely, I mean every word of it. Can't wait for tomorrow. Saturday, going to be so much fun. Football season going to be so much fun. And you guys with us going to be there locked in every step of the way. I'm Damon. That's Kevin. This is the AZ Wildcats podcast. We'll catch you next time. Peace out. Bear down.
And go Cats. One more sleep, y'all.
We all silly like the mayor.